Hey, I'm Russ.
And I'm Steve.
Growing up in the 80s, we were introduced to video games, movies, and technology that made a lasting impression on us and forever enriched our lives.
I think I'm gonna cry.
It's been a fascinating journey to be a part of, one that we constantly treasure.
Higher, booty.
Our goal is simple: share our magical moments of discovery and geek out with lovely folks, just like you.
Achievement unlocked.
So if you crave pixel goodness, memorable moments, and experiences that make your inner child do the happy dance, you've come to the right place.
Let's do this.
Welcome to Joygasm.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Joygasm, where we talk about video games, movies, and pop culture. I'm Russ, Xbox Live Toaster 360, and joining me is someone who needs no introduction, Steve, Xbox Live Stevevich, as we blast into episode 47 with guns a-blazing today, November 19th, 2017. To get the most out of Joygasm, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Just do a search for Joygasm TV. In addition to iTunes and Android, you can listen to our podcast on joygasm.tv and soundcloud.com/joygasmtv. Also, for exclusive access and some sweet goodies, check us out at patreon.com/joygasm. And no matter which platform you use to enjoy the show, please drop us a subscription, thumbs up, or a review. It helps us build awareness, which we appreciate very much. On today's episode, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. We are going to focus on Netflix's Punisher Episode 1 and do a nice little impression/review of that. And then we'll hop right over to the review of Wolfenstein 2. But before we do that, Steve, how you doing?
Russ, seems like the month of November is hopscotching its way on through pretty quick.
It is going extremely fast. Actually, this whole year is going by super fast. I think it is. Typically, like, the years kind of drag on for me personally. This is one of the years where I can honestly say, like, from the get-go, I was just constantly marveling at just how fast everything is going. It's just beyond me. I think it's because just as the schedule picks up, especially doing Joygasm, I mean, it's just amazing how here we are. We're kind of in the mid-November, almost late November, and after that, there's one more month, and then we kiss 2017 goodbye. Yeah. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it seemed like 2017 just got here, and we were just watching Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and starting the podcast, and now we're nearly a year down.
I know.
Yes, indeed.
Time waits for no man or woman.
Time's merciless.
Time just likes to march on, doesn't it?
And time likes to punish.
Oh,
snap.
So what have you been playing / watching there?
Well,
Steve?
Russ, the only game I've been playing is...
Let me guess. Forza.
No.
Oh, well, what is it?
I went back to play a little Halo Master Chief Collection.
Oh, wow.
A little MCC. And I still enjoy it. But I still do not enjoy Halo 4. And you have yet to let me borrow Halo 5.
You can borrow it anytime. I thought you weren't interested, though, because you weren't liking... You said you didn't dig Halo 4.
Yeah, I didn't.
And then Halo 5, as you well know, while watching me, you were kind of like, yeah, not too sure
I might
about
give
that.
it a shot.
But you're welcome to borrow it.
The thing is that 343 did an amazing job on the Master Chief Collection. And I showed it to you once. I should just pick you up a copy, Russ, because you definitely deserve to play through it. And
I do deserve it. I am deserving. Thank you, Steve.
Now, one of the main things about the game, because you mentioned it the other day, well, the other month.
You mentioned it the other year, the other decade,
that it wasn't up to par with some of the Xbox One graphics. It's more like an Xbox 360 or an Xbox One enhanced version of a 360 game. I think is what borderline about what you said, Web.
I can't remember, but okay.
I remember because I was hurt by it.
Got like steel trap this guy.
Man. So going back, yeah, it does. It's not up to par with some of the later games, of course, because
Is it
it's the,
under par?
man. So anyhow, a lot of the textures are very good, and the details in the game, you can really zoom up on them, and they did a great job. And the sound effects in the chorus is very well done, and how you can flip back and forth between the old game and this version.
I do need to take a look at that. I remember seeing just brief glimpses of how you can go back and forth, and that is something that I've always appreciated.
And the thing is, mostly with the sound effects of all the firearms and the I was about to say the movie in the game. Now they did actually go out and sample certain firearms in real life to sample, for sure. I watched a little background on it, and it sounds amazing.
Right.
So when I say like Destiny 2, for example, about how some of the sound effects don't have that girth and that power, and you play Halo Master Chief Collection, at least Halo 2 for sure, and they're the revision of it, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about because all the guns sound good in it. Even the little pistol sounds good. The 50 cal sniper sounds good. Everything sounds amazing.
Yeah. No, I remember a lot of the sound effects in Halo were just spot on.
But this one is spot on and then some, Russ. Oh. So that's about all I've been playing. Watching, on the other hand.
Is it so spot on it's on spot?
I don't think that really worked, Russ.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think it worked really good.
I'm going to go back in my hole.
Yeah, moving on. So you'll be happy to know that I began watching
Stranger Things. Praise the Lord.
So I am about 4 or 5 seasons in.
I'm 4 or 5 seasons in. That's
good,
really
great.
impressive considering there was only 2 seasons that have been released.
You know, Russ, it's freaking midnight right now, so my brain's a little bit turned off. I'm sorry. Yeah,
I believe the word you are hunting for is episode.
I've actually seen Into the Future, and
that's impressive. Yeah. I was going to say, my goodness.
I can review all the upcoming seasons. Matter of fact,
can you please give me some spoilers into season 4 and 5? It'd be great.
So I'm right. Well, should I just tell you where I'm at?
Well, you're in season 1.
I know, but
just about everybody in the world except for you has already seen it. So
I'm going to go ahead. So they have the girl with the shaved head. And she was going to.
She goes by 11.
11, right? And the long yellow T-shirt. And she was going to tell him where the lost friend is. That's supposedly alive. That's communicating with the mom through the lights and everything. And
I believe that would be Will.
Yeah. I'm still looking. I'm trying to memorize everybody's names. It's kind of a lot of people.
Totally cool. That's why I'm here to help you.
So then the final part where I'm at is the cop, who's great, by the way.
Yeah.
He's. Anyhow, so he seems like he's discovered some leads that he wants to follow up on, and then he gets called towards this lake, and then they think they find him, or at least they pull him out, and then they all say like, "Oh yeah, that's Will or Mikey or whatever his name is," or and so that's exactly right, and that's where that
I know the one you're talking about.
I don't know if that's 4 or 5, but I it's around there someplace. So I do like it. It's innocent enough that it's not gonna keep me up with my heart pumping,
right?
But at the same time, it feels very Spielberg-y. I'm trying to think of Super 8. That's what it's called. Isn't it called Super 8?
Oh, that's a J.J. Abrams film.
No, okay, what about
but J.J. made that film as kind of an homage to Steven Spielberg's style of filmmaking.
Yeah, so that's what it kind of feels like. I was trying to all week to think of what that movie was called. It just came to me. So anyhow, I've been trying to space them out so I don't overload myself with Stranger Things. So
before it gets too strange.
I do like the music. I do like the story, and I do like the cast.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, the music is kind of funny because it sounds a little bit like Tron and
total 80s, dude. Total synthesized 80s goodness.
But it's almost like modern synthesized in a way.
A little bit,
yeah. Anyhow,
I think it's actually one of Winona Ryder's best performances I've ever seen. Like especially as you get farther into that season and she just gets more and more freaked out and everything else. I mean, it's palpable at times where she really does convey that terrified mother trying to help her son kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in for a treat.
It's funny because I haven't seen Winona in a movie in quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember her in Beetlejuice back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Being however old she, junior high little girl, high school, whatever, how old she was in that movie. And then I see her as a mom in this one. I'm thinking, man, everyone grows up, everyone changes, and wow, good grief. So anyhow, I'm there, and I'll be caught up to you pretty soon.
I'm happy to hear that.
And so I'll soon get on par that we can continue on season dose.
I've always thought of Stranger Things as it's kind of a mashup between Goonies meets E.T. meets X-Files. That's always been kind of the overall vibe that I get from the show. And as you go forward with that, you may see some of those kind of nods or inklings. And especially when you get into season 2 as well. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, to me, it's just so fun to see a show that takes place in the 80s.
Yeah.
It just, the stuff, you could tell they did their homework on everything. Even the title sequence at the beginning is total 80s, just the way the font looks and the way things are moving, the animation of everything. And like when the title comes in and all of a sudden it like fades from the title color to like the actual opening scene.
Yeah.
Total 80s.
The boyfriend of one of the girls in the show, I think his name is Steve or Steven.
Okay.
Reminds me of someone in high school. He has that that kind of he's like the popular nerd. He's not the jock, but I'm trying to think of
is he the guy who likes Nancy in the?
I'm horrible with names, but it's the very well, it has to be Nancy. She's like the main beyond 11. She's like the main chick.
Yeah,
who looks very sweet, by the way. In the show. Jeez. So
yeah, it's Steve.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I knew someone just like him in high school. I swear. Man. Anyhow, very well scripted, and I like the chemistry between all the buddies, and they all have like these different minds. It's like they all think the same thing, but their personalities are all very strong.
Yeah. Yeah. All the kids, all 4 of them, the 4 main boys anyway, just have terrific chemistry, and just watching them as they try and unravel what's going on and stuff. It's just great.
Yeah. So then I watched Snowden.
Oh.
And there's 2 versions of the movie. There's the Hollywood version, and then there's the documentary version. Mm-hmm. The documentary version, which is actually going to come in the mail pretty soon, which is called Citizen 4. So basically what happened is when Snowden escaped, or right before he escaped, he had an interview with The Guardian about everything that had transpired. Mm-hmm. And so the documentary, Citizen 4, is literally that interview. And this movie, Snowden, is what they made from all of the interview. It shows kind of the past, what transpired, his history, and whatnot. And it's actually really well done. It's well put together.
Oh.
So I would definitely... who's in it is Nick Cage is in it. Nicolas Cage.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And he's not bad either. You know how Nicolas Cage is kind of a dork in a lot of his movies? Like, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Call in 60 seconds. He's not so in this film. He plays a small bit role, but it's a good role. So you might want to check that one out. And then I was highly anticipating The Punisher coming out, which it did this weekend. So I'm a few episodes beyond you, which I told you earlier. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking forward to hashing it out with you because we just saw it.
We did. We just watched episode 1 before we started this podcast.
And I even tempted you to watch episode 2, but it's getting a little bit late over here.
It is indeed. But that just how many episodes are there in this season?
I didn't look. I see how many there were.
Okay.
So I'm guessing there's...
Because we need to make it last. We can't just like binge watch it and then...
I might just binge watch it.
Steve. Don't leave without me.
Maybe I'll try to put it on the shelf and then catch up with you on...
You focus on Stranger Things, get caught up, and then you and I can just get together and watch each episode of The Punisher.
There you go.
As you well know, it was my daughter's birthday.
Yes, indeed.
So we spent quite a bit of time preparing for that, especially my lovely wife. She always goes to town. She always likes doing those arts and crafts things when it comes to her birthday, and she never fails to impress. This time it was all based around a bee theme, like a bumblebee theme. Buzz. And so she had all of these great ideas regarding balloons. I didn't even know she knew how to I guess the best way to describe it is like, if you go to like a carnival or you go to some sort of party, there's always like someone who knows how to make those cool balloon things where like they they twist and bend and somehow like contort these elongated balloons into something, and you see them like doing all these crazy hand gestures, and all of a sudden it's like, oh look, it's a goose, and it's just like, how on earth did you do that? I don't know if she already knew how to do that or not. I have a feeling she actually taught herself how to do it before she did it for this birthday, which is pretty freaking impressive considering what she actually came up with. And so it was really cool to like be able to see all the decorations and stuff around the house get built up. And of course, seeing the look on my daughter's face when she woke up and she came out and seeing this kind of bumblebee themed wonderland of balloons come to life. I thought that was really cool. So there was that going on. And so as a result, I didn't get to do as much game playing or movie watching as I normally do. I can say, though, that I was watching quite a bit of Stranger Things Season 2. I think we only have about 3 episodes left before we're officially caught up with that.
Not have a couch potato it all week. Well, it's Thanksgiving coming up, so yeah, there'll be some time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing is I think it's good that it's better late than never with Stranger Things, because they will obviously do a Season 3, and at that point, then we'll be in sync to be able to move forward with that. So, but without giving any spoilers away, Season 2, it definitely is interesting. There are some different approaches to things, and like I said, I don't want to
I'm sitting right here.
Yeah, I don't want to give you any detail more than you deserve. But yeah, other than that, I was playing Wolfenstein 2, and just from a high level perspective, great game. Just a great game. I was able to beat it. And later on in this episode, we'll be able to talk a bit more just about the overall gameplay experience and that sort of thing. So, yeah, that's. I think that's just about what I've been up to lately.
It's funny when I came over here a little while ago to have dinner with you guys, with y'all, and I saw the balloons in different forms, like flowers and stuff. I thought, maybe they, saw somebody in their outing, in their weekend together. Maybe they saw a little balloon tie her up or whatever, shape her. And so I thought, okay, whatever, kind of just passed it off. And then I came in for the birthday and I'm thinking, man, someone went to town on the balloons.
I mean, it was everywhere. In a way, I'm kind of jealous because like I never got that when I was a kid. Like when it was my birthday, I was like, oh, hey, here's your cake and here's a present, you open it up. Like, it's just amazing, like just walking out and be like, man. And then just, obviously my daughter, she just turned 3, the tender age of 3.
But she's going to remember every single detail for the rest of her life.
Well, hopefully so. I mean, I know for me, just the, each year my wife comes up with something completely different, a brand new theme, and she has kind of an overarching approach to it. And so it's fun just to be able to see, okay, what is she going to come up with next year? So I'm glad that you digged it when you come over. It's always fun too to have the family come by and see you guys look around and have your reactions go, man.
Well, I'd like to see your reaction because you gave me the camera to walk around a little bit with, so I got to carry that thing around and
moonlight as a videographer.
Hopefully, I got some good material for you there, Ron.
I'm sure you did. I'll take a little look-see when I have some time.
Man, you're zoomed way up my nose. Why did you do that?
You cut off the top half of my face. Why are you focusing on my butt chin?
For like 10 minutes is all that is butt chin right there.
Oh.
Well.
It reminds me of like when our dad we got his first video camcorder back in the 80s, where like, you remember like he had to carry like the unit on his, like he had to carry it on his shoulder. So it was like in this weird strap, like satchel suitcase, purse thing. And then he had like, it was hooked up to the camera here. It was like this like mobile studio or whatever.
Yeah, it was like a battery backup or something. I don't know what that was.
I have no idea, but it was so funny because like, there were times where like we'd be playing back the footage that he took, and there were times where he forgot that like it was still recording. So we just had nothing but like the ground for like 5 minutes straight. And like you hear people talking, but you're like, would be nice to see what the heck was going on.
Fast forward. Those things had to fit a VHS tape and then some, all the gears and stuff to work it though. So that's why it was so ginormous.
Well, I say let us go into The Punisher. Episode 1. I've got to say, and see, you already saw this, so you came over. This was your second outing, I take it. Okay, so he has a bit more of the digested perspective, where for me it is literally fresh, just like whoa, I just saw it. I've got to say, I am really impressed with this. I know that we were both very much excited when we saw the trailer. When it came out, we're like, whoa, this looks legit. And sitting down, I mean, once again, Netflix has just completely hit it out of the park. They have the secret sauce over there where they're able to take certain licenses or IPs or whatnot. And it's just incredible, like what they're able to do with them. And in terms of The Punisher, I think what's great about it is that once again, like they didn't castrate the IP. Like they really understood, hey, this is a brutal comic book that we're basing the show off of. We cannot skimp on that part, but also at the same time, they didn't make it gratuitous either. Like it wasn't like something where you would be watching it and you're just thinking to yourself, oh, look at all that blood coming at you. Oh, look at all these gun shots and stuff. They did it in a way where he was very relatable as a character, not so much as if like I could look at it and think, oh, I have been there with him kind of thing, but more along lines where you do feel sympathetic toward his character, and they present his character in such a way where they, instead of just skimming over like his origins of how he came to be the Punisher, like they really do just spend that time going into that and just doling out little by little just what happened. And of course, us comic book nerds out there, we already know what happened, but just seeing it from this cinematic standpoint, I know for myself, I really did appreciate that more mature approach to the content. And I for one cannot wait to continue going on with the future episodes. But yeah, just out the gate, I'm floored.
Yeah, it seems as if they expect anyone who's going to watch already knows the story of Frank Castle. If you're excited to see the Punisher, you already kind of know what's up, and they don't want to rewrite the story or redo the movie that happened before.
The two movies that came before.
Was there two of them?
Yeah, they had two different actors.
I saw one of them. I think it wasn't John Travolta, the villain in the movie.
That was, I think, the first one.
That's the one that I saw.
Okay.
Which the actor who played Frank Castle actually did a decent job, but a lot of parts of the movie were just so.
Right.
They had to do with constraints and everything like that.
Well, and I think at the time, wasn't the movie rated PG-13? I don't think it was rated R, was it?
I have to look it up. I am not sure. But so yeah, this movie, I'm just on the mode to see movies, Russ. This show, it feels like a movie. I mean, the production's great that Netflix gave it the Punisher on this one, but yeah, he's a very relatable character. He's not a superhero by a long shot.
Oh no, I'm wrong. It was rated R.
Rated R. Okay, that's yeah. It would have to be rated PG-13. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, for some reason I thought it was PG-13, and that was one of the issues I had with it. But never mind.
So, yeah, when you think of Marvel, you think of superheroes or mutants or whatever. But this is just a regular guy,
right?
And you feel his emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
You feel his despair, and you can tell Netflix is also really building this foundation. Like this might be a series that will carry a while.
I mean, just based off the first episode I've seen, I really hope that they do.
Yeah, but it feels rewarding to have them dole it out. I mean,
yeah,
all these characters, their dialogue is very well scripted, and you can tell the chemistry. You can start to see who Frank has as a friend or has history with. And when you start watching the other episodes, you'll see that too. And it's funny because he's a guy who has a special set of skills. So anyhow,
he's kind of like the rated R version of Casey Jones from TMNT. You know, you promised me I was going to be able to break something.
I love it. We're gonna have to watch. Oh man, I told you last time I got to do an episode on just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, we'll have to put that in a future episode. But yeah, one of my favorite scenes out of this particular episode was when he stopped by that. I don't know what you call it, but it's that the kind of a soldier group that like who folks who were in the military who had post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD.
Yeah.
Having those kind of group sessions where they're able to vent out kind of their inner demons that they're having to contend with and that sort of thing, kind of in that support environment. I really like that scene a lot. Just once again, the way they approached it, it wasn't sensationalized.
Right.
It wasn't something that was like really political or anything.
Yep.
Like, I mean, it was just, you could tell that these guys had gone through some sort of horrific ordeal in their own personal ways, and the way that they presented that, along with Frank coming in and not even being a part of the group, but he was a part of the group by standing outside of the room there. It really spoke volumes. And then him coming in and talking to the guy who was leading the group session. All of it was just very authentic. It was you could really, once again, like I can relate to it on a human level, like in terms of a relationship, of being able to identify, hey, there are people out in the world who, for whatever reason, have experienced real pain, real loss, and that sort of thing. But I feel compelled to want to like reach out to them and just give them some semblance of support. And again, not that I have been to where they've been before, right, but I really like seeing those types of scenes. And so I found myself really enjoying that quite a bit. And I mean, John Bernthal, I knew from the trailer, like just seeing him going, I'm thinking, oh, I think he's going to make a really good Punisher. And just after just one episode, it's like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's amazing. I was a big fan of his when I watched him on The Walking Dead, because he also he had that intensity about him. And it was just such a pleasure to see him as Frank Castle in The Punisher. I mean, it's such a hand, meat, glove situation.
When that scene came on, I thought, oh, they're gonna get political. Please, no, don't get political. We try and stay away from politics. We want to give a entertainment outlet for everybody, just to get out of all the Facebook negativity, you know. And so when that scene came on, I thought, man, this can go one of two ways. Man, please don't go the other way. Please go the way I want it to go. And they went the way they should have gone. Which is, thank you so much. You know who's in it? I don't know if you know this. The scene with when the two ladies are drinking wine.
Mm-hmm.
Did you recognize the mother?
I recognized the actress, but I couldn't place her.
So she, I'm going to butcher this. Shohreh Aghdashloo.
Let me see it.
There you go. Her voice is more recognizable than I think she is as an actress, because I recognize her from the stoning of Soraya.
Shohreh Aghdashloo.
Something like that. People get it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But
I've seen her in something else.
Yeah. Well, her voice anyway, and I don't know, I forgot, but they may have modeled her face, but she was in Mass Effect 2, Ross?
Which character?
The Admiral, and they cut it off. Admiral Shia... Admiral Shia Ron Vaz something.
I do not remember that.
She was in Mass Effect 2, and she's also in Mass Effect 3. And she's also in Destiny 2. There you go.
Well, I've seen her in a film, though. Man,
she's been in a lot of films, Ross. Good grief.
Let me see that.
Oh, here you go. Yeah, why don't you take a little look over that one?
Let's take a little look here.
But yeah, I remember her, and it's actually a pretty rough independent film of in the Middle East. It was the stoning of Soraya M. And who else is in that movie? I think Jim Caviezel's in it also. That was crazy. But yeah, she has a very recognizable voice.
Let's see, Destiny 2, The Promise, Star Trek Beyond. Yeah, I do not remember. I totally have seen her in something, and yeah, I'm going through her filmography with the acting roles, and I'm not. Maybe it is based in the video games that I've played. Because I know I love me some Mass Effect.
I know you do. That's why I brought it up.
Well, anyway.
Can I have my phone back?
Yes, you can have your phone back. Here you go.
I'm very possessive.
Another scene that was really just shocking was just the slow reveal of the dream, the reoccurring dream that he kept having where his wife was waking him up, and you could just see how that was torturing him on a day in and day out basis. And once again, going back to that doling out approach, it was interesting too how like we finally, and I suppose we should let folks know that this whole review we are talking about spoilers. So if you haven't seen this show, then you should probably wait unless you don't care, and then we'll by all means keep listening.
Hey.
But anyway, seeing this dream, this reoccurring dream go over and over, and each time that he has it, we get to see just a little bit more of it, a little bit more of it, a little bit more of it, until all of a sudden you have this horrifying realization that it's a dream where it's essentially the memory of his wife getting murdered in front of his eyes. I mean, it's just terrible. And I'm sure that they'll continue on with that in future episodes, showing how his kids were taken from him and that sort of thing. But again, the way that they decided to approach that, it's just so well done.
His wife, I think I mentioned to you when we were watching the show, just looks like happiness. When she comes in there,
as opposed to his wife coming in like a nag.
Yeah, hey, yeah.
I didn't say you could sleep. Get up.
I told you to take out the trash. Yeah. Come on.
If I don't sleep, you don't sleep. Yeah. Get your butt up.
Starts kicking his foot. Man, this is my life. How do we get here? Anyhow, I have a pet peeve, which is I am such a light, sensitive sleeper that if I actually am asleep and people go, "Hey, wake up!"
Princess and the Pea over
that's
here.
Right, proud of it. Well, actually, I'm not, but it's the truth. Anyhow, so I hate when people wake me up. They shake you and they go, "Hey, wake up, wake up!" I go, "Oh man, I was sleeping. I finally got to sleep." And you see her come in there and she goes, "Hey," she kisses him, wakes him up with a little smile, kisses him on the bridge of his nose and stuff. Oh man, that's so nice. It's just so nice.
Yeah, that's definitely the quintessential fantasy that all men hope for, that with their women folk will wake them up that way. And
smiles and kisses. Thank you.
Yeah.
What's the matter, Russ? You haven't got any smiles and kisses in a while?
I'm going to plead the fifth on that one.
You got a bucket of cold water on you.
Good day. Get up, you good for nothing bum. Anyway, so let's see. What other scenes that did you really like from episode 1?
I liked how Donnie came up to spend some time with him. You can tell Donnie's looking for a friend and getting some wrong influences, and saw something in Mr. Castle, and they had a connection, but Frank is so far disconnected that he doesn't want to. No, he's not making friends.
Well, he's like I said earlier, he's battling his inner demons. I mean,
Yeah.
like that's the thing is like he's cognizant of what's going on around him, but he's tortured on a daily basis. And so, yeah, I think that was also a really nice approach to episode 1 of just showing just this, it's just a supportive character that comes in is not, I don't think is going to be staying around.
Yeah.
But, looking at a character from an innocent standpoint, where like this person has a little bit of baggage. There are some commonalities there when he talked about losing his parents and that sort of thing. But ultimately, he's kind of going back and forth between just trying to belong in this new job.
Yeah. And I also like how they put Frank doing demolition old school style.
Yeah.
With the sledgehammer busting down those walls because it's symbolic. You can't bring your family back. You can't bring the past back. You just have to fight it. And this raw anger energy has to be channeled somewhere. And a lot of it's controlled through your mind and you're, he's busting down the wall. He's spending entire days busting down concrete walls, staring off into space, and that's the only thing he can do. He's probably doing the least wanted job in that construction field. Everyone else is probably like working jackhammers and power saws and nail guns and whatnot, and he's just plowing through sledgehammer concrete walls.
Yeah,
I think it's just symbolic anyway.
Well, and also too, just I love after a hard day's work, we see his hands and he just has the worst looking calluses and blisters and stuff just on there. I mean, one of the scenes that just made a lasting impression on me was after his day of working, he drops the sledgehammer and you see the areas where his hands were holding the sledgehammer itself and they're just, just splattered in his own blood because he's just been going nonstop for
hours.
who knows. Yeah, hours on hours.
No gloves either. This is not, he's not wearing any gloves. It's skin on wood all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that just, once again, that just plays right into more of that raw quality of the movie where they really, gosh, man, they everything was so well thought out.
Yeah. You're left at the end with, oh man, this is going to be good. I want to watch the next one.
Yeah, I really also appreciated the cinematography in the show as well. I mean, just you could tell that they used a lot of shallow depth of field especially with Frank. And it was done in certain ways that made certain scenes more intimate, but also made other scenes more claustrophobic. Like he was just once again just surrounded by the tortures of what happened to him and his family. And so it's neat to see that that storytelling component be used in different ways to help enhance whatever the emotion is for that particular scene. It was great. And just overall, I mean, there were a lot of great framed shots in there too, where it definitely has more of that graphic novel approach. I mean, I for one really digged it. But yeah, getting back to what you're talking about with the way that the episode ended, it was so gratifying.
Yeah.
It was so, I mean, just justice served up cold.
Civilian justice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, it's just the way that whole thing ended. I gotta say, I am just ecstatic for this show. I mean, it's crazy how I'll be wrapping up Stranger Things and then I'll just be hitting this thing full tilt. But I have several other shows too that I need to watch overall. But I mean, just looking at, and again, you've seen, how many episodes are you in?
I'm definitely 3 in. I might be the 4th. And I start not paying attention. Next. Now,
did you do that just because you just couldn't wait to see what happened next? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it one of your favorite shows that you've seen this year?
Well, I haven't watched that many shows. I've watched more movies than shows, but yeah, I would say this is on the top of the radar.
Yeah, man.
Most of the shows I've been watching, I've been dabbling in, going, there's enough curiosity to keep me going, so I'll keep watching it. Yeah, sure, but nothing I would want to talk about on a podcast for minutes upon minutes.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes without saying. I mean, we're both going to be just pleased as punch when it comes to looking at these future episodes, and we'll have to give more impressions as we go along.
Did you know? Did you see on
The More You Know?
The More You Know on Netflix how they have a skip intro button when you're streaming?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that before. I noticed that with Narcos, the later season of Narcos.
Oh, I love me some
but
Narcos.
That's pretty good.
That's another one. I haven't seen the latest season of.
I know. So you got to watch Narcos.
Narcos.
But the beginning of the
Es
show,
muy bien.
the beginning of the show is pretty well done too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, Netflix. I mean, just every original series I've seen from Netflix has been fantastic.
And we were even, well, I forgot the title of the show, but right when you loaded up Netflix, it came up with a show we hadn't watched yet. And then we're like, hey, that looks kind of good.
What was it called again?
I don't know. I was hoping you would have just put it on your list so I would remember it.
Crap, I can't remember.
Go search through the entire library
It was like
of
some
Netflix
sort
originals.
of country western.
Yeah. But kind of old, not like way old western.
But what was crazy is like it was like, you had a final season. And we're like, wait, how long has this thing been out?
Yeah,
I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah. You know, Netflix is putting out all these animes too. I mean, not Castlevania style, but total anime.
Yeah.
They're doing. They got a little bit of something for everybody in there.
There's only so many hours in the day, Steve. And unfortunately, I'm no longer 15 years old where I have all this time. For those of you who are 15, though, lucky you. So let's segue, or if you prefer, let's pivot over to Wolfenstein 2. I beat this game last week on the Bring 'em On difficulty. I thought it was important to say that because the last episode we were talking about how like I was kind of going all over the place with the difficulty level. Initially, I had started out with, I think it was the difficulty level that was 2 down from the hardest. And then I reached that one point where I couldn't pass it. So that I literally went down to the easiest level possible, which I don't know. They call it something like Goo Goo Gaga Daddy or I don't know. But anyway, I got past it and then ratcheted the difficulty back up and I left it at Bring 'em On.
Or is that when you were in that courthouse?
No.
Oh.
That was no, I beat the courthouse sequence on the Bring 'em On difficulty. No, I was on that other scene where I had to hold off the Nazis from coming in to allow
The Nazis?
the other folks to get on the helicopter before the Germans get here. But yeah, I mean, it just I could not for the life of me pass that one particular part, and it was interesting. I guess I'll just say it quickly, really, but there are 2 scenes, or not even really scenes, but sequences in the game that are, I mean, just the AI difficulty just gets ramped up like you wouldn't believe. And as a result, they are the 2 hardest parts of the entire game. One of them has to do with what I just described with, you're having to hold off the Nazis and just, I mean, I must have tried getting past that one part.
I remember.
So I can't even count how many times. And finally, I'm just like, okay, look, I'm gonna stop playing this game out of frustration because I just cannot pass it. So luckily they have in the game the ability to be able to change the difficulty on the fly. So I did. The second hardest part of the entire game was what you talked about, where it was the courtroom scene. But before I go too much into detail about that, overall great game. Just at a high level. It really is amazing when I think of the year 2017 because we really have been given a ton of quality titles across the board, not just with Xbox, but also with the PS4 and with Nintendo Switch. I mean, even with the SNES Classic Mini coming out, I mean, like you just have a tremendous amount of AAA quality games that have come out, and they're all just fun to play. I mean, I know that over and over I keep talking about how this is the kind of the golden age of video gaming because there's literally so many good games. I cannot keep up with all of them, but at the same time, I think that it's a bit of a not a bummer, but it's one of the things when I think of like game of the year, right? Like you're going to be looking at IGN or GameSpot, all the Polygon, Kotaku, whatever. And they'll be doing at the end of the year, they'll be doing their game of the year, honorable mentions, that sort of thing. And unfortunately, I have a feeling that Wolfenstein 2 will probably get overlooked, not because it's a bad game, but really because there are just so many other games. I mean, it's amazing if you stop to think about how many games have come out. And I think that if Wolfenstein 2 was released on a different year, then they would be in the spotlight a bit more to get more of that recognition. But as it stands, like, I never played the first Wolfenstein. I had friends who told me about it, who said that I should play it. I never did get around to playing it. So I'm glad I jumped in with Wolfenstein 2. What's interesting is that the graphics themselves, for whatever reason, they kind of remind me of Call of Duty. They have kind of the COD graphics style, which it's just, I'm not sure if they are both using the same type of game engine or what, but that was something that was a bit interesting. As it stands, this game has no multiplayer. It's
all single player.
It is specifically designed as a single player experience.
I like it.
And
no microtransactions.
No microtransactions. Although I think they are going to be releasing some DLC.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
We like DLC.
Yeah. DLC makes the world go round.
We like the DLC.
We like to blitzkrieg the DLC. But no, it's a lot. The game itself, from a story standpoint, wow.
Yeah.
I know that you weren't here the entire time when I was playing it. You were here for bits and pieces. You did get your opportunity to actually play a bit of it.
Yeah.
And you watched me play some of it, that sort of thing. But overall, what a gripping storyline. It was just crazy.
Must have been all those nights I was waiting to come back over here to play The Evil Within 2. And you rescinded your invitation so you can play Wolfenstein. Thanks, Russ.
Well, and it was just funny because like you were going to come over. Actually, there were times you did come over with the whole expectation of, we're going to play The Evil Within 2. And
because we told our audience we would.
I know, exactly. And like, I'm sitting here waiting for you to come over, so I'm playing Wolfenstein 2, and then you come over and plop down on the couch, and I'm like, okay, give me just a second. And that second turns into 3 hours or something. So that was pretty funny. But man, going back to the story, do you care if I talk about it, or do you?
Russ, this is the review. You know what? Go right ahead.
Okay.
I mean, okay. I've been here for probably half the story, so I do know that a lot. I mean, when I was here and I had to go out to take some phone calls, I'd come back in, you'd be going wide-eyed. Man, I just can't believe I saw that. What happened? What happened? And then something else was going on. So then I heard a little bit of about what it was, and then had to move on.
So, okay. So just to be fair, once again, spoiler alert. If you guys have not played Wolfenstein, you might want to stop the podcast. However, if you have played it, we will move forward and conquer.
Konkerschlagen.
Wolfenschlagen. So, jawohl. No, but just the entire thing when it came to the story. I mean, like, you start out and you're in a wheelchair and you're just laying waste to these different Nazis that are coming your way. Who would have ever thought of that? Like you're having to wheel yourself around and pick up
it's original
certain guns and just doing what you can. But the whole premise of what would happen if the Nazis actually won World War II and they actually occupied the United States during the 1960s is a very terrifying but also interesting premise. How would that look? What would be going on? Obviously, there would be a resistance that'd be forming to try and get rid of them, that sort of thing. But there were several components to the story that, man, it just made for just original storytelling. One of which was actually them spending time showing his childhood. And, in particular, his relationship with his father.
That'll be voiced by Glenn Morshower.
Yeah. Big fan of his. He was in
he's on a few
Friday Night Lights. The TV show.
Transformers 1.
And 2.
Mm-hmm. He was also in I think it's season 3 of 24.
Yeah, I think you're right.
He was the president's head of security.
Uh-huh. Yeah. yeah, we're big fans of his. But yeah, just it was just. It was once again just a scenario where I just found my eyeballs just glued to the screen because I just could not believe what was going on, what was transpiring in front of me with regards to him being an abusive father, an abusive spouse, just someone who is just real bitter piece of trash. It's amazing how they did the visual storytelling where you're literally you're viewing it in this first person perspective as a boy. And then coming around full circle as an adult where you're revisiting the house and you're coming up and you come face to face with your dad again. It was just gripping. I mean, once again, you're just looking at it and you're like, my goodness, this is intense. Also, too, there are certain scenes, going further into that kind of experience where like you're watching these in-game cinematics take place. And instead of it being a third person where it's showing Blazkowicz, you're looking at it through his eyes. There were certain sequences like when you get caught early on in the game and you have the Nazi general who literally, she's killing your friends in front of you. You have to make a decision. I don't know if you were here for this, but I had to make a decision as to which one of my captured friends lived and which one died.
That was in the beginning.
Yeah. Super intense. And then, of course, her lopping off. I don't think you were here for this, but she actually used an axe and just chopped off the head of one of my friends. In which case, she picks up the head and she's like acting like it's kissing me and talk. But one of the things I found myself thinking about was just the fact that games have gotten more sophisticated graphically and more mature in the sense that it's no longer something that it is as cartoony as they once were. And as a result, it's really haunting to see some of those types of cinematics where you're just like, man, this is getting pretty realistic.
Yeah.
It's making me feel kind of uncomfortable. And here I'm saying that as a 38-year-old man.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy to see that. There were also other sequences too, where later on in the game, you get captured by the Nazis and you're in this kind of interrogation room or whatever, and you hear some shouting going on outside of the room, and this guy comes in and he's one of your guys that is fighting in the resistance, and he's posing as your lawyer, your attorney.
I remember this.
And were you there for that sequence?
Russ, man, if I have a dime for every time you told me that, yes, I was there.
Okay. Well, it just goes to show just exactly how intense I was into this game.
Steve, were you here on that one podcast? Or was I just talking to myself? I'm going to start taking selfies of us and post them on Patreon or Facebook or something so people know that I actually was here.
Yeah.
And then I can show you, I can remind you, yeah, Russ, look at the podcast.
You can even do video footage as well. That'd be a good thing to do. In my defense, however, you tend to leave the room quite a bit, whether it's your girlfriend calling you or you have to go to the bathroom or whatever. So I don't even know where you are. Anyway.
Well, if it ever came as a doubt in your mind that if I was not in line with you when we were picking up the SNES Classic, I do have a video of that.
Yes, this I remember.
Okay.
It's actually, you should look at this as a positive, Steve, because that just means that we could have the same conversation over and over again. And to me, it'd be brand new. It'd be like, man, we landed on the moon. Oh, sweet. Anyway.
Yeah.
So back to the story at hand. So we see this guy come in and he's saying, hey, we're going to bust you out. It's going to be great. And so I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay, well, this sounds like kind of a dicey situation. I guess I'm going to be running and gunning, blasting my way through whatever kind of intense security prison or whatever it is that I'm in, detention block. But as the plan unravels, where he says, "Oh, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna smash up my face," where he conks his nose, which was actually pretty funny. Causing himself to get kind of a bloody faced mess, and then calling for the guard to come in. You soon realize that the Nazis were in on it the whole time. They actually let this guy in thinking that he had fooled them. and giving you false hope. And then as he's about to spring you loose, then you have the Nazi general come back in and completely cap him, come over to you and put a bag over your head. And as a result, like, you don't know how much time has gone by, but then all of a sudden the bag comes off your head and you're being paraded out in front of where the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial are located. And I know for a fact that you were not in here for this.
I came in right after this. You're like, dude.
Which is really kind of weird to think about, because like you were gone, like you were here for the initial parts of things, and then like both times that people lose their heads, you were gone.
Yeah, no,
it's kind of bizarre. But anyway,
I must have lost my head. I don't know.
Now this is something that I also found to be, I mean, as if that other decapitation sequence wasn't disturbing enough. In this one, once again, it's first person perspective. And you get laid down on your back because you're all tied up and stuff. And the Nazi general brandishes this sword. And, you know, after giving some sort of hate speech going on, she then turns to you. And once again, I mean, it looks realistic in terms of how you can move the camera as if it's like your head. She is chopping off your head while you're watching it. And I'm telling you, like, especially with a lot of stuff going on in the world today, specifically in the Middle East and whatnot. I mean, it really is like unsettling to be in that position. But then also too, what's even more kind of like unsettling, but in a kind of weird way, is the fact that like, the general throws, you know, she holds your head up and then tosses it over the ledge, which was going to go down to like this like fiery furnace, but it's grabbed, it's picked up by this drone.
That's where I came in.
And
I remember that.
Yeah, that's where you come in. So I'm sitting there like absolutely just like my mouth is ajar on the couch. I'm just like, what just happened? And Steve comes in. They got your head.
Hey, what's up? You want some Skittles or something?
But yeah, and then this drone comes over and drops my now severed head into the arms of my allies, which tells us that they were anticipating that to happen. So even though they had one of their guys go up as my attorney, they were anticipating that he's probably going to lose his head, and so let's go ahead and let's wait for him down here. They're probably going to throw his head in the furnace. Like, they had the whole entire thing mapped out. So that's kind of like deranged in its own way. Like, geez, guys. And then only to later on, like, be able to like stick a bunch of tubes into my head to keep my head going, and then attach it to some sort of stolen Nazi super soldier, like, synthetic body or whatever. I mean, it's just, and I think that's one of the things about the game too, that just really, it just keeps you going. Like you're just captivated by the story, is the fact that some of the storytelling is just so edgy, and but it's so wacky and zany. They really play into it being the 60s. So you have certain characters that are, hallucinating off of psychedelics, and just like
that was funny. The little guy with a gecko. I'm like, what is going on?
Actually, the production value of that was just amazing with the 2D animation and But yeah, I mean, just looking at the motley crew of misfits that comprise this resistance, it was just a wealth of character development that I really appreciated. And I mean, later on, you end up going to the planet Venus.
What in the world?
Yeah, like there's some sort of Nazi outpost out there. And again, major spoiler alert, but like you come across Hitler himself. Like they actually modeled Hitler. I mean, it looks legit. It looks like what Adolf probably would look like 20 years later, and like when it was in the 1960s. It's just once again, it's just haunting. You're just like, what the heck? And of course, the whole sequence there where like, they play into the fact that it's largely talked about how Hitler was very much into cinema. He was a big fan of just the cinemas in general and that sort of thing. And so they play off that, in the game, where he's living on this outpost in Venus. And so they have actors that are flown out there to like portray this character known as Blazkowicz, because they think Blazkowicz is dead since they chopped off his head. So they're gonna make this movie that like puts him in a bad light. And so you go as one of the actors who are going to be doing a tryout. And I mean, it's just the funniest thing where like certain actors who are trying stuff, if Hitler doesn't like him, he just shoots him right there and kills him in front of you. You're like, oh my gosh, what the heck? And there's this hilarious scene where like this woman tells you your lines and you try to write them down on your hand, but you get so nervous because Hitler is shooting other people that your hands get sweaty. And so then your writing's all smeared on your hand.
Oh my goodness.
What the heck did I just, what are my lines? And so then you have to actually think because the woman told you your lines ahead of time. So it's a fun gameplay test, so to speak, which I did pass in my first time.
Congratulations.
Anyway, crazy amounts of stuff like that going on. I mean, backtracking a bit to like that courtroom scene, which was, again, that was the second hardest part. The entire game, I'm like, how on earth am I going to pass this? And once again, obscenities were running amok from my
walls
mouth.
were dripping.
It was ridiculous. But I gotta tell you though, the end of the game, just because I have a feeling you will play it, so I won't go into total amount of detail about it. But ending is extremely gratifying, and
I can imagine
it's, I mean, nowhere near as hard as these two other sequences throughout the entire game. But man, I'm totally monologuing here, but let me kick it over to you in terms of with what you saw me play and as well as your own experiences. What did you think of the game?
I there has to be some place to turn on the vibration of the controller when you get hit. There has to be something we overlooked. I mean, come on.
No, I've heard other people talk about it too.
Unbelievable.
I think, and actually, I'm glad that you brought that up because I think it's worth talking to Bethesda or Machine Games. If you're listening to this podcast, and I think we should also hit them up on Twitter and Facebook, is just we definitely would love to see a patch, some sort of update that you can send out to everybody where you kind of improve a bit of the damage indicator, because like just to Steve's point, there were so many times where I would be getting damage or I would just straight up die, and I would never even know or realize that I was taking hits until it was too late. Like there'd be times where I would kind of see the red damage indicator on screen, but I think that there needs to be more of an aggressive use of the vibration feature within the controller itself to let us know just, hey, we're taking on damage, and maybe even do like a directional vibrate to let us know what's going on.
Hey, you're about to die. Do something about it.
Yeah.
I like how Blazkowicz?
That's right.
Hey, I was paying attention. I like how throughout the game, at least the parts that I saw, where you're transitioning through the level, he will do some inner monologue. I think that was pretty rich. Brings you into that character, his thoughts. A lot of these games, you play it and you know the story, but you know the character's thinking something because you'd be thinking something at that exact moment.
Yeah, exposition told through a first-person narrative. Yeah, it's really cool.
And I do like how they had this hodgepodge of characters like you were talking about a little bit earlier, because if you imagine this playing out, everybody would be putting aside their petty differences and political views and discrepancies, and they would be finding ways to work together to resist what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got the friggin' KKK out there walking the streets, just having a good old time with the Nazis. Oh my goodness! So
I do have a critique of that particular part, if you don't mind me interjecting.
Interject, right?
So that particular part of the game takes place in New Mexico, and they're having a parade of sorts, and it's just like it's like a local parade. It's not like some huge convention of folks coming from all over the country to go. I mean, it's literally like a hometown parade. And so when you're listening to these KKK members talking to this Nazi soldier, they sound like they're from like Mississippi or Alabama or something. Like they have the like, well, I'm not too sure about that. I'm like, okay, look, New Mexico. I know people from New Mexico.
Yeah.
They do not have the same accent. Just food for thought. Anyway, go ahead.
Details, Russ. Details.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so I loved all the characters that were part of your team, but I especially liked the scientist, the Jewish scientist.
Oh, he was awesome.
He was the man. Every time he was on the screen, I don't know. I just wanted to be a part of that board meeting when they were deciding who was going to play who, and they were writing out these characters' personalities and their mannerisms and what they were doing, because he was probably the richest person that I saw in the game. You had your baddies and your evil people, and you had your dialogue and the main character and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he was on the screen was awesome.
Yeah.
Anyhow. But with the humor too, see what I can really appreciate, especially nowadays, is last episode. When did we review Thor? Was that last episode?
No, that was the episode before last.
Okay, well, I just thought it was yesterday, Rose. Anyway, Ragnarok, Ragnar Stone. Anyhow, Ragnar Kindy Snow,
Ragnar Pebble. Wait.
So that's the thing with me is. I really appreciate the original humor, and not this kind of fluffy whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, the scene that you were talking about where that drone catches your head, puts it in a jar, and everyone's going nuts like, oh, that's right, plug this here, clamp that here, and that would be a crazy thing to be in. I mean, if you were a part of that group and everyone just had the severed head and they're joking about it and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Anyhow, they put your head in the jar and you could still see first person out of there. And then like the little cats and stuff are like trying to figure out like, is that my owner? Like his head's just there,
and you realize that little it was like the body of a monkey but the head of a cat. That was foreshadow. That was total foreshadow as to what would happen to you.
Yeah.
And again, that's brilliant storytelling. Like you don't really see that too often in gaming storylines. Like you see that more in movies and that sort of thing, but it's kind of rare to see that. And so, I mean, that once again, it's totally disturbing and unsettling, but at the same time, you're like, gosh, this is so original. Like I gotta keep playing.
Very, very original. Is it mature rated or adult rated? Because
I think it's mature.
Man, I mean, some of the Grand Theft Autos are rated adult.
Well, yeah,
I know, but this is like way more intense and deep and dark than Grand Theft Auto is.
I don't know, man. Like GTA doesn't really leave a lot to the imagination.
Yeah, but I don't know. This is way more violent. This is almost like psychological, on top of the violence. Like, this is dark.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's rated M for mature. But I mean, if it was AO, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised about it.
Yeah, no, I definitely would not be. It's funny. We're talking, side note, man, working in retail, people would come by Grand Theft Auto knowing that it has an adult rating for like their kids that are like 9 years old. And I would tell people, look, you understand this is an adult game. Like, they go, oh, really? Well, what does that mean? I'm thinking, I have to explain it to you. I'm like, so there's cussing, there's sex, there's nudity, there's drug use, like there's everything in there. And so I have to tell you this before I sell you the game. Go, oh, Billy. Well, I played all the time at Johnny's house. It's okay, Mom. And I'm telling you.
Makes you concerned for the future generation of America.
No doubt.
One of the other things I think is worth mentioning too, I really appreciated the weaponry in the game. Man, like kudos to the weapons team that went through and made all these different weapons. I personally didn't really get a chance to use all of the weapons in the game. I kind of gravitated towards certain ones. I really love the pistol. That pistol was awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
The shotgun though was supremely gratifying. What a great shotgun. The other thing too is that you can upgrade your weapons.
Yeah, that's something we always were talking about. And I was like, Russ, upgrade your weapons. Russ, upgrade.
And I did. I was using it.
Eventually you did, but you're like, yeah, I'm going to wait for a while so I can upgrade it like later. I don't know what weapons I'm going to get, so I'm just going to wait. So I never saw anything you upgraded at all.
And what's interesting too is, okay, so I never came across a sniper rifle. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist in the game, but I never came across one. The other thing is, I've been told that at the beginning, when you're choosing between who lives and who dies, those two friends. So as if that wasn't replayability worthy enough to like go back through, because, you can choose the other person and then you have a completely different experience.
That's what I was wondering.
Of your motley crew as you move forward. Apparently I've heard that you actually get different weapons that you come across based on that other person that you save.
Interesting.
So again, it's like, oh my gosh, I got to play through this again. And I don't know this for sure, but I don't know if it has like a new game plus mode or something like that, where you can retain all your weapons and go through again and get more of the unlocks. So that way you can max out all of your upgrades for all your weapons. But those upgrades really do change up the gameplay mechanics. I mean, none of them are like these like wasted efforts. It's not like Cuphead where you're playing a game and you spend your hard-earned coins on something that really doesn't do you any favors. But in this game, oh man, like just so well thought out. And it provides a bit more of a depth quality to a first-person shooter. If you play something like Halo, you just pick up weapons and they just work and you use them, and that's fine. But in a game like this, there is a bit more choice that's offered to the player, and that's cool because then you have to have consequence that goes along with that. But the gun models, the environments, I mean, just all of the stuff that was done was just AAA. It was so well done. Also, another thing too is, I don't know if you saw some of the more of like the Nazi looking mechs toward the latter half of the game.
I saw some that were like charging at you.
I know you fought one. You fought one kind of in the middle of the game, and that one was pretty cool too. But like there are things that you could do where like for me personally, I enjoyed sneaking around. I like there were fun.
You kind of had to. You die like so easy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Let's be real.
But there are people who prefer to go out, guns blazing. But for me, what was fun was that you could really sneak up on just a ton of I think just about any creature, with the exception of like a dog. Dogs were pretty much impossible for me to be able to sneak up on. However, like the lumbering mechs that were going around, I could get behind one of them and I could actually like chop one of their fuel lines. And so then the fuel started to pour out. And then I could wait for them to get like a certain distance from me, and then I could shoot the fuel, and all of a sudden it caught on fire, and you see this fire trail go up and cause it to explode. I mean, just really
That's interesting.
Yeah, really nice touches like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the mechanized, like, I don't know what it is. It's like a mechanized cougar or whatever, but it's like the mouth opens and there's a flamethrower inside. Did you ever see one of those?
I don't believe I did.
Oh, Steve, you're in for a treat. You're going to need to play this game from start to finish, because I think you're going to walk away with a slightly disturbed smile.
Maybe I'll play that in the beginning of the new year. I don't feel like I should be playing that game over the holidays, but I'll play.
Yeah.
Bringing the new year, killing some Nazis.
Get a lump of coal in your stocking.
Yeah. Is it Nazis or Snotsies?
Anyway, what other thoughts did you have about the game?
Well, that's about all I have, Russ. Actually, to be quite honest, because that's all you play. So,
one of the things I really appreciated was the whole like leaning out. Like you could like get behind cover, lean out, lean back in. Also, when you're moving the camera around, there had this really nice human-esque inertia to it. It wasn't like it's like a linear, just, I'm looking left, now I'm looking right. It's like if I looked left or I looked right, there was kind of this almost like a slight overcompensation, like how your head kind of, if you go left or right, like there is a bit of that subtle elasticity almost, if you will, where it's like, it's not like, oh, I move and then I instantly, stop my gaze specifically on this pinpoint of a spot. Like there's kind of like this, I don't know, overlook, if you will. I thought it was cool that they were also able to put that into the game. And of course, the sound was lovely.
Sound wasn't bad. They did have some new effects that I wouldn't think that was in there, like with that laser that melted all the.
Oh yeah.
At first, I'm like, why did they choose that sound? And I thought, you know what? If that thing was real, that would probably sound pretty close.
There are some other heavy weapons in the game too. Oh, this is another thing too.
What, Russ?
I almost forgot. So in this game, what's really nice is that it doesn't necessarily force you to have to kill every single enemy in an area in order for you to move forward. Granted, yes, there are certain parts in the game where you have to do that because that's the whole purpose of that particular part of the game. However, at the very last level, they brought out just everything toward you, including like these just completely badass. I don't even know what they were, like just crazy armored super soldiers, whatever they are. And I couldn't pass them, and so I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna bypass this. And I was able to do that. I was able to get through there without having to hang out and try and take out everybody first. And was able to make my way up, and it's actually really cool, making my way up this airship, just the hull of this airship to get to the top. And it was just, I don't know, I found myself just really enjoying that because I had the option of either staying around and being able to try and, be the last man standing, or I could just tuck tail and run and be like, nah, screw this, I'm going to go.
Well, I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly. So things like that are certain qualities of the game that I also appreciate. You could tell the game designers just had a lot of novel approaches to just a litany of different things in this game. So highly recommend it. Do not recommend it for little kids because it's definitely one of the most graphic games I have played in recent memory. But man, what a ride.
Give them nightmares.
Desensitized. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this episode. Be sure to check out patreon.com/joygasm and subscribe to get the most out of the show. Also, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Just do a search for Joygasm TV. In addition to iTunes and Android, you can listen to our podcast on soundcloud.com/joygasm TV. And I think it's worth noting that we do, in fact, have our round 2 giveaway. That's coming up. I think it's important to talk about that really quick.
Is that next week, Russ, that we're giving that away? 20. What is next Saturday?
Well, no. Tomorrow, November 20th, is the last day to enter round 2. And that's where we're giving away both a SNES Classic Mini and a SNES wireless controller. So if you haven't entered yet, you have until the end of tomorrow to do so. To enter, you just go to twitter.com/joygasmtv, where you will see a pinned tweet at the top. What you want to do is retweet that tweet, follow at JoygasmTV, and subscribe to the Joygasm YouTube channel. The link, by the way, is in the pinned tweet for your convenience for the YouTube portion. You must do all 3 of those things to be entered into the giveaway. And like I said, tomorrow, November 20th, is the last day. So we will announce who the winner is on November 27th, and that's when the next podcast episode will drop. And if you don't happen to win that time, fear not, ladies and gentlemen, because we have, oh yes, a third round 3 giveaway to try your luck on that one as well.
Coming right up, is it? Oh.
It is indeed. I mean, we're trying to finish out this year with a bang, and I think we're doing just that. What do you think, Steve?
Well, like Howie.
Anyway, we will talk to you next time. Until then, keep those guns polished.